Hello fellow boxing fans, and welcome back to another video. I thank you for tuning in, and it's an honor and a privilege to be able to present this content. The fight I'll be covering in this video is going out to Austin Webb. I thank you for your request and for participating in the channel. The fight that Austin wanted me to cover is a good one. Terrible Terry Norris versus Floyd Money Mayweather. Very interesting fight. And since Terrible Terry Norris fought his entire career at 154, I would imagine this fight taking place at 154. I'm pretty sure Terry Norris fought his entire career at 154. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. You all are the biggest fact checkers out there, and that's a good thing. So Terrible Terry Norris versus Floyd Money Mayweather at 154. And I'll tell you right now, as great as Floyd was, we know that he's a defensive master, and he's just an all-around intelligent fighter. I mean, Floyd is probably the most intelligent fighter to ever step in the ring. A lot of fans may have a problem with me saying that, but it's just facts as far as ring IQ and just thinking inside of that squared circle. But at 154, Terry Norris definitely has a big advantage. It's not the only advantage going into this fight, but it's a significant advantage. We know that Floyd Money Mayweather fought two high-profile fights at 154. Oscar De La Hoya, which he won a split decision, and Canelo Alvarez. So we know that Floyd was taking a big risk going up to 154, fighting those fights, but it paid off. And Floyd's skills got him through those fights. But would he be so lucky against Terrible Terry Norris? And hopefully I can answer that question in this video. So let's talk about Terrible Terry Norris. He truly lived up to his name, Terrible. His destruction of Sugar Ray Leonard, and to be fair, Sugar Ray Leonard wasn't at his best or nowhere close to his best in this fight, but just the fact that he beat Sugar Ray Leonard in that fashion, it showed me who this guy was. Terrible Terry Norris was fierce. He was your classic boxer puncher. Had a great jab, had quick hands. His punches were straight, which means that he was hard to counter. Had quick hands, great footwork, and some of the best head movement I've ever seen. So Terrible Terry Norris was truly terrible in a good way. As far as Floyd Money Mayweather, as I already said, one of the smartest boxers, if not the smartest boxer, to step into the square circle. And one of the advantages that Floyd has is Floyd is consistent. I mean, Floyd has a game plan, and he sticks to that game plan. He doesn't deviate from the game plan. He doesn't let the crowd or the fans dictate his game plan. I mean, Floyd is a cerebral fighter. Very defensive, quick. He's just everything. I'm trying not to be a Floyd fan in this video, but even if you're not a fan of Floyd, if you're a fan of boxing, then you recognize his attributes. So who would win this fight? Who would win it? Well, as I said before, Terrible Terry Norris has a size advantage at 154. Terry Norris fought in a more dangerous era. I feel that Terry Norris is more seasoned. Terrible Terry Norris will benefit from a firefight, but that's just the thing. Can he lure Floyd Money Mayweather into a firefight? And this fight definitely depends on that. There's not a lot of guys who have gotten Floyd Money Mayweather off of his game, and that's why he's undefeated, to be quite frank. So to beat Floyd, or to at least come close to beating Floyd, even if you lose a close decision, a Terrible Terry Norris would have to make Floyd fight his fight. And if he can't get Floyd to fight his fight, it's not going to happen for him. So he would have to force Floyd into a brawl, and he would have to catch Floyd. Other than that, he falls into the same trap as the rest of Floyd's opponents. Unable to land his shots, looking for the one big shot while getting countered in the process, looking for opportunities to get Floyd against the ropes and looking for opportunities to trap Floyd, which was not easy. Some fighters have done it successfully. Jose Luis Castillo, Marcos Maidana, and Miguel Cotto to a certain extent. But then Floyd was the master adjuster. I mean, Floyd was so great at adjusting to whatever his opponents did. Like I said, I'm trying not to be a fan in this video, and I promise you I'm being objective in this video because I was a fan of Norris too. I was a big fan of Norris back in those days. But who will win this fight? Who takes this? Please help me out with this one. And I'll be honest, I'm looking for every reason to give this fight to Norris. Floyd definitely doesn't want to get caught by Norris. But this fight comes down to game plans. It really does. Who has the better game plan going into this fight? And to be honest, Floyd always has the better game plan going into this fight. You might not like me for this one, but there's no way around a Floyd Money Mayweather decision. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you on the next video. Don't want to get myself into too much trouble, but at the same time, a little controversy doesn't hurt. In this video, I want to talk about Teddy Atlas' comments concerning Anthony Joshua. Before I go any further, let me give you this disclaimer, or these disclaimers. I respect Teddy Atlas. Very knowledgeable, very notable. He knows his stuff. I love his analogies. He has the best analogies I've ever heard. The best boxing analogies I've ever heard. We all celebrate his bluntness, his directness, his honesty, his I don't care attitude and approach, which is refreshing in a world where we're tiptoeing around everything. But at the same time, and with all due respect, he can go a little overboard sometimes. He can be a little too passionate, biased to be frank. And with him being a world-renowned trainer, it doesn't mean he's automatically right about everything. He can be wrong, he can be right, just like anyone else. And sometimes I feel like he's off base. Now, granted, Anthony Joshua has 3 losses on his record. But a little over 20 years ago, you could have a tremendous career with 3 losses on your record, or with a few losses on your record, without getting into the whole undefeated obsession. That's the way it was. So if we took those same standards and applied them today, Anthony Joshua still has a chance at greatness. Anthony Joshua has accomplished a lot, in my opinion. And the crazy thing, I'm not a Joshua fan, but I just believe we need to be reasonable and we need to be fair. And to call him overrated at this point in his career is overreaching a bit. Yes, he got knocked out by Ruiz in the first fight. The best of the best is entitled to at least one bad night, but he avenged that loss. And yes, he has 2 back-to-back losses against Usyk. But let's be fair. He didn't get destroyed in any of those fights. He was competitive in both fights, and he gave a solid performance in both fights. And I'm always saying, don't just look at the results. Don't just rate the results, but rate the performances. You can lose in a fight to where you've had your best performance. And Teddy Atlas knows this. And anyone who knows anything, they can have a pie crumb sized knowledge of boxing. And so it's just not about the results, the record. It's about the performances, okay? And for some reason, people are not getting this. I'm not necessarily talking about Teddy Atlas. I do want to show respect because he's a legendary trainer, knows more than me. But just using pure logic. Why are fans writing Joshua off after 3 losses? Usyk has an awkward style. So Anthony Joshua can fight Usyk 10 times and the results be the same, because Usyk just has one of those styles. For one, he's a southpaw. And so Anthony Joshua is already at a disadvantage. But second of all, Usyk is awkward as hell. Has great timing, great head movement, has an awkward stance, throws his punches from the weirdest angles. I mean, let's be fair. A lot of people would lose to Usyk, including Fury, in my opinion. And I've covered that video. So, let's say that Anthony Joshua loses to Usyk 10 more times. Well, let's put it this way. Anthony Joshua loses to Usyk, but could possibly beat Fury. Why? Because of the style matchup, because of the stylistic realities. Styles makes fights. Styles makes fights. Styles makes fights. Usyk just had the right style for himself and the wrong style for Anthony Joshua, of course. But look at the stylistic realities. It's all about the styles. Just because Usyk beat Joshua doesn't mean that Fury would beat Joshua, or doesn't mean that any other heavyweight would beat Joshua. See, these days, you lose to one fighter, not everyone magically beats you. What kind of sense does that make? Let's be reasonable. Let's be reasonable. I respect Teddy Atlas's opinion, but I respectfully disagree with him. I can go on and on, but I'll just leave it there. I'll see you next time.